Hey everyone, welcome to SF Garnish Music Production. My name's Justin and we're going to get into how do you make the lows really hit. We just did the highs last week. We're going to be doing this for the West Coast Wednesdays every Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. There's also the garnish.tv or garnish.edu is going to be doing live posts worldwide at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time every day. So check out our channels for that. We're going to get right into it today. So here we are with Ableton Live 10 Suite. If you haven't worked with this digital audio workstation, it is my favorite. I also love Pro Tools and Logic, which we also teach. But specifically, Ableton goes in pretty in depth to creating your own custom sounds, custom instruments, both MIDI and taking live instruments and warping them in pretty ridiculous, amazing ways. I would say back in like 2005 to 2012, it was kind of hard to warp something without hearing some of the warp on accident. But now in Complex Pro or Complex mode, you could really change the BPM by up to almost 20 to 30 BPM and still have it sound good, which is incredible technology that Ableton has produced. So top of the game right here. So today, talking about the lows, this is a pretty simple session I have set up. I have an audio track, unnamed, and a MIDI track, unnamed, just to start off. And we're going to get into just bringing in some instruments. So let's go ahead. This is arrangement view. We'll just talk about a few things here just to get going. And session view. Okay, the basics, arrangement view and session view. Arrangement view is similar to what you see in all DAWs, and the session view has been specific to Ableton. I believe Logic is going to be following suit really soon here. It's really helpful for creating like a verse, chorus, bridge of your song, changing to different parts of a live show. You can even affect lights and other MIDI devices using these different scenes here. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in an instrument. And I'll start off by just picking out a drum sound that we have in my favorites folder. So let's go ahead and bring that in. We want a little bit bigger kit. This one's called a Biscuit. Let's see how that sounds. I'm going to just drag it and drop it right over into the MIDI file, the MIDI track. And it automatically record enables. That's what this red function right here. So on my push 2, which I will show you guys in this location, let's get into this. So on the push 2, as you see here, let's actually open that up a little bit. So it automatically loads this in and shows the Abyss kit right here means that it is in record mode. If I hold down this function here, it changes to record mode, anything that's highlighted. So the Push 2 is an incredible tool with Ableton. If you guys don't already know about it, I suggest getting it. That's how I'm going to be recording the session. I'm not going to focus too much on the Push 2 today, but if you want to learn more about it, please email us. Check out our programs and we will get back to you. So let's get back into this here. All right, so West Coast Wednesdays, we're talking about the low end. If you guys have any questions, please email us at sf@garnishmusicproduction.com. Happy to answer questions. Going right into our session again. And here's our kit. So I'm playing it on my Push 2, now that you know that. And I'm going to set up, my metronome is record enabled, as you can see that turning on and off in the upper left-hand corner. So metronome on, and I'm going to just press play. So we're at 130 BPM. Okay, so let's go ahead and start off with a beat. I don't know if I like that sound. All right, let's try that. All right, so that right there didn't quite stop recording in time, so using my push, I'm gonna look at the clip, and actually I'll show you guys this on the screen too. So see how there's this extra space at the very end? We can actually crop that just by bringing this in right here. And you can use your mouse for that too. So let me expand this out so you guys can really see this kit. We're going to be talking about the low end here, but we want to have some hi-hat feel in this as well. I'm going to take it off fold mode so you can kind of see all the different options we have for this kit. And I'm pressing repeat function on my MIDI device. Really helpful to have repeat function for your hi-hat. All right, so I'm using the push 2 to have that hi-hat dance around a little bit. All right, so that's pretty good. What I want to do as well is just bring all of this into a nice grid. Now, what type of quantizing, which is bringing it to grid, do we want today? And what we have is quantize at 1/16th note. There's 0 swing, so I'm changing this swing amount. I like about between 10 to 14%. I'm going to go with 14%, okay? So I'm changing that with my push. I'm going to say swing to that amount, and let's go ahead and play that again. So this hit right here moved too much. I'm going to move that back. So that's working out for me pretty good. Let's see here. So I want to make this really hit. And what I want to do, you know what, I'm going to bring in my other screen to this side so you guys can really see what I'm doing. Changing this up really quick. So this is my second Ableton screen. I'm going to switch this out because it actually shows this device, all your devices on the left-hand side over here. So this will be a little bit better for us. There we go. Okay, so you can now see which instruments I'm bringing in. This is really helpful if you guys don't already know too much about where your samples are and the organization of the back pages. This is really helpful to have your favorites listed up here. I have all of these favorites that I brought in, my drums, my keys, my instruments, bass, different effects, and orange is actually one that I could still use. So that's great news. So we're talking about the low end. Right now, we just have a basic Abyss kit listed here. I do have some tracks that I'm going to show you guys later on, so stay tuned for that. Now, I want to bring in something that really brings in the lows, okay? This is something that comes with Ableton 10 Suite or above. I know 11's is just about to come out. It comes with this, okay? This is called Drum Bus. What Drum Bus is it is a drum bus that has compression, limiters, and different frequency and crunch amps that kind of bring out sounds. I'm going to drop that right in to the track, and I'm just going to do an A/B of it on and off. Okay, this is the drum bus off, how we've been listening to it. Sorry, that's actually the whole track. Let's go ahead and get out of that. And okay, let's take off our click by clicking the metronome up here. All right, I have this volume a little bit lower so I can talk over the top, but I might bring that up a tad bit, my master volume, so you can kind of hear that. Now check this out. I'm going to press the drum bus just as it is, and let's hear the difference. Then I'm going to customize it. So notice right away it increased the volume by doing its limiting and compressing. There's a drive, it's boosting it up. And it's also, this frequency of 50 hertz can also be pushed up. It's like a EQ being pushed. I'm going to give you an example of this EQ really quick, just so you guys can see what's happening to it. So let's go ahead and drop an EQ on the same chain here. And I'm just going to flatten this out so you guys, this isn't affecting the mix, but what I want to do is see what's happening while this is on. I'm going to take this off now. Notice how that 100 hertz is really being pushed. Taking it off again. Bring it back in. Here we go. Putting some boom on. Now this is something that you could almost use it as a bass. It's really cool. You can also tune this on purpose or purposely take it off tuning with your song. What's nice is to find your main tone of the key you're in and possibly accentuate that on your low kick, and it could really sound good to drive forward the song. Or purposely find the fifth, right? So I'm at 59 hertz roughly right here, and so that's actually accentuating 59 hertz, which is, here's that grid, right? 0 to 100, 59 is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 9 is going to be about right here. When we listen to this, you're going to actually see these frequencies really jumping up on our EQ. Notice I can drop this down to 37, and now that's accenting that lower frequency. Now I'm almost up to 100, about 76, 79. Now, something that can really get your low end dancing around, just like how we did in the hi-hats last week, is doing some automation. Okay? This is something that at a live show, if you wanted to control all of these things, you would need tons of different hands. And this is what you want to do, is prepare your show in the studio and do the exact sounds that you want, and then use your hands to play the instrument you want to play, for example. So here we are. I'm going to go ahead and have my automation mode engaged on my push. And that actually is this function right here. You can also do this without the push by pressing that button. You can, I'll tell you guys how you can go Command M and create a MIDI device by clicking that, and then click your MIDI device, any key, and it will map to that function. So you can have any device do what the push is doing, really. But it's nice that the push is already set up for this. You can also do it to your keyboard by Command K. It's kind of this orangey red. And I can then say, I want to record enable by pressing a certain function on the keyboard, right? So I just did that right there. You guys can see that pop up. But I press this, press the keyboard, and then when I go back, I say Command K again, and then I press this, and it enables that function. See how it turns on and off on its own? Okay, so that's just one of the shortcuts you can do, so you're not having to click around with your mouse so much, even if you don't have the push. So I'm going to take that off because I do have the push, and let's play this out a little bit. Drum bus. Notice how my hands are up here, right? And that is now automated, okay? So I went into automation mode and I changed the frequency with my push 2 to dance around on this drum bus. So it's actually accenting certain low frequencies at different times. If you were to see this on an EQ, it would kind of be like going like this. Boom, 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 right? This would be kind of dancing back and forth. That's what that drum bus is doing right here when I'm getting this frequency sweep going on. And the boom is really showing how much dB is really coming out there. It's also allowing the sustain to come out. So this drum bus is really doing a lot of things just within this really simple plugin that is built into Ableton Live 10 Suite. So it comes with the program. I really encourage you to try drum bus on your drums. So let's go ahead and listen to this, and I'm actually going to go right click this and show automation. And there it is. Okay, so you can switch between seeing your effects and your instrument, or the MIDI or the WAV file, whatever you created. So as you see this go up and down, you're going to hear that low end going up and down. If you have headphones like me, it might not be as accented. These aren't the best headphones. But if you put this through a nice subwoofer, this would be crazy big. So here we go, try this out. All right, I'm gonna double this loop. I press double loop. I press double loop on the push 2, but if I wanna do that manually, you can also just take this whole area, copy, or even just go duplicate, Command D, right? And it duplicates. So double loop on your push 2 or Command D on your keyboard, same thing. The reason why I want to do that is I'm going to bring an effect that I really like into the mix, which is, let's go ahead and get into effects right here. This is an effect that I created from someone else's effect. Will Marshall, he created this. This is also, you can download this from the Ableton site for free. You just got to find it on the back pages. There's a lot of extra things you can download. Actually, one more thing I want to share with you guys is once you download Ableton, you can just go into your packs and it shows everything that you've downloaded, and it says whatever else is available. It says there's 13 more packs available that I haven't installed. If I expand this out, I can actually see all the different things that I have not installed yet. So, pretty awesome way to do it. Instead of having to download from their website and then install it, you can just go right into this area and just press install. And it goes right into your program, right folder, etc. A nice, easy way to install your packs, your extra sounds and effects. So let's go back into this Abyss kit, and I brought in a specific effect. Let's see here. Is it here? It is. All right. Effects, Will Marshall DB0JA, which is my little customization of the customization. Okay, this is an effects chain that he created that brings in a couple different things. Fade to gray, Beatmaster. There's a lot of different DJ effects within this program, and this master chain affects what's going on. I can also show you the details of each thing by expanding these out a little bit. Okay, there's really quite a bit. Then this actually goes even farther, right? So, but what's nice is that you can just bring this nice and tight, right? And just show just the basics here. Let's actually even bring this down more. There we go. Okay, so this is all hidden in here for now, because we know that we just want to use our fade to gray and Beatmaster. I'm not going to get too in-depth today about this because I want to have some fun creating these parts. But if you have any questions about these, you're welcome to email us, SF at Garnish Music Production, and take some of our courses. We have 18 and 36-hour courses, short courses, our producer program, 120 hours, and our academy, which is 360 plus hours. You can save a lot of money and time taking these courses with us, online or in person. All right, here we go. Going to go into my effects now. I'm going to bring this right in front. This is Beatmaster. Awesome. So what's happening here is we're dancing around using Beatmaster, and we're going to do a little bit more customization, but I just want to let you guys know that part of this drum bus is actually affecting some of our high end because it's all on this same instrument right here. If you guys want to separate these out, it's really easy to do that just by duplicating this track each time, and you can actually just have your kick be on a certain channel with the drum bus and it just be affecting that channel. So let me just do that really quick so you guys can really see how quick you could do these customizations. Let's say this is set kick. Okay, we only want the kick on this one. Since these are all duplicated, let's make this a different color so we know this is our kick. And I'm going to go in here and take out automations by this button down here in the left-hand corner. Taking out automations, I'm going to fold this track so it only shows the notes that we're playing, not the notes that we're not playing. I'm highlighting the snare and the hi-hat, and I'm pressing 0 on my keyboard to deactivate those. Notice how when I come in here now and I'm soloing this track, when I play it, let's go ahead and play this alone. You just have that low end. Okay, so let's say our hi-hat actually, we want to do more of that auto filter that we did on top, which is a different effect that we kind of put on last week. Okay, so let's go ahead and just put that auto filter on the top. Auto filter, let's make this our hi-hat. I'm going to rename this, Command R. I'm going to go set hi-hat. And once again, we go into this file and we take out everything except the hi-hat, selecting all the lower tracks and pressing 0. Going into this next one, this is like the one that has everything in it, and maybe this could be our snare. The reason why it's nice to separate these is that this is what a mixing engineer, when you're in mixing mode, wants, is complete isolation of the tracks. I'm going to make sure that we are in the right mode, and we're going to take out all of the hi-hats. Oops, that didn't work. Let's try that again. And all of the bass. And I'm going to make sure that our snares are in this channel. So pressing 0 again to reinstate those. So now, any one that we're clicked on, there's just our snare. So that low end drum bus on that snare doesn't quite serve it. I'm just going to delete that from that set snare channel. And what I also want to do is make the EQ for that exact snare. We're actually getting into mixing now a little bit. Don't want to get too off track with our low end because I do want to do some bass by the end of the 12 o'clock today. So this is just for our snare. It's going to be kind of a tight middle snare. We don't really need a lot of low frequencies here or highs. Let's listen to that. All right. We're changing our cue point to tighten that up a little bit. There we go. Cool. Eventually, I'll probably sample a new snare, a little lower snare, but that works out. And then this is our hi-hat now, and we had our auto filter that's not dancing around just yet. Let's actually do this dancing hi-hat really quick here. Bringing that down. We're going to solo this track. Get our resonance a little higher here. Bring that up. I'm going to make sure that you guys can see this by clicking this bottom left-hand button to show automation. And there's the recording mode. Getting out of record mode or overdub mode of the automation. Notice how there's actually a couple different record functions up here. This is your main record. This is how you record into arrangement view, which is right? This view over here, this is like the view that people mostly know about with DAWs, right? Left to right, this is like a timeline down here, 0 to 9 minutes showing. But we're in session view, and we're also dealing with automation. And automation is where we can record these different movements of our knobs, right? Back in the day when we have these like 88 Neve consoles, you know, going into 2-inch tape, you literally had to have somebody overdub that exact movement and then overdub the next movement, and you lost some fidelity every time. The great thing in the digital world is you can record your movement right into your DAW and then go to another movement and record that without using any of your audio quality, right? Keeping it really nice and clean. It's actually so clean that it's nice to actually put some tape sometimes purposely in there, some tape sounds. So let's go ahead and listen to all these together. I'm going to unmute them. I can bring that kick back now to where I want to hear it. I can bring the hi-hat down. I can also take my sends on my channels and show them on each channel here. Let's go ahead and, there they are. Go my sends and returns. So I have, as you can see here, my reverb set up. Reverb 1.2, 2.5, and 3.5. These are the millisecond delays, right? And then also I have 3 different delays, right? Going from short to long. And what I like to do is finding possibly like a really long tail reverb, which is my C. And I'll put that kind of on my hi-hat. Let's listen to this a little bit. My middle. A little bit of that one too. On my low, I don't want any of this. So if this was all on the same channel, I wouldn't have that ability to customize. Okay, so our low end is sounding pretty big with our drum bus on our kick, and we're taking it off for our other instruments. Actually, make sure it's off of our snare as well. We don't need this down here because we have our auto filter working with the high frequencies here. Let's listen to that and watch that frequency move. Our snare is a little bit dry. Working with some of the panning here, left and right. Not only can you pan a specific track, but you can also pan effects. This reverb, this long tail reverb, I actually have panned hard right. This is giving us a lot of room to hear the instrument more on the left side, which is snares on the left, and then the long reverb is coming out on the right side. If you have, play this through your car stereo or something that has that really spread out, headphones are great for hearing stereo because you have your left, right so separated. But definitely fun to have not only your channels panned, but also your effects where you want them. Notice how my kick is center. Okay, and that's one thing that in the customization of everything, you want to have your low end in the center and more of your high frequencies can start panning. The reason why is that if you start panning your low frequencies, those big waves can actually cancel out other waves and you get phasing issues. So just to be aware of that. It is possible to do something, but you could get phasing issues. So let's go ahead and listen to this again. So that snare over here in this Abyss kit, I don't like it. So this is how cool you can and how easy you can change your sounds up to the sounds that you like. Okay, and I actually have some snares that I already like, so I'm going to open this up. And actually, let's just go into, let's say you're looking for the first time for a snare. So I type in snare, and now notice in this area, it's only coming up with a few things, but if I go down here and say, I want all results, click on all results, and then boom, you have so many snares to choose from, right? If I go down this whole thing, this is all built into your Ableton Live 10 suite. So if you ever think that you need new sounds, like make sure you know what you have already just with Ableton Live 10 suite. Okay, let's find that low snare. I'm gonna go through this a little quicker. There, that's a lower snare. So what I'm gonna do is I'm on this channel, which is my snare, and I know that, let's say I think our snare was here or there. I'll find out when I play it. Let's go ahead. So notice how this engaged, so I know I want to replace that one. I literally drag and drop right over that snare onto that drum rack. My computer decides to think for a while, maybe because we're live streaming. There we go. And I play it again, and watch this. All right. Nice. Okay, so that snare is a little bit busy on that dancing around part. So I'm actually going to purposely change that. Okay, so here's where you can customize your automations. These are all the different customizations you can possibly do. Notice how I found it though. Where that red dot is shows you that there's some automation. You don't have to look through all these every time, right? Just look for the red dot, click on that, and boom, there it is. So I actually don't really want this to be dancing around on my snare so much. So I'm going to go ahead and select all and delete the automation so it's a little simpler. All right, sounding pretty good. And if we really want to do some automations on the snare, maybe we can just kind of simplify it. So we can go into our specific beat master. Here's another way you can find your automation point, is I'm down here on the right hand bottom corner by my face over here, and I'm going to go right click it, and I'm going to say show automation. Okay, it didn't show up, but it will show up in this mode. It says effects beatmaster, right? That's another way to get to it. So that's in case you don't have the red dot yet, right? Because we deleted all of our automation. I just want to have it dance around on that last hit to really show me the end of the phrase. So let's see if I bring that up at the end, and I'll just kind of play it from that point. Cool. All right. I think that something that will serve our snare, I know I'm kind of dancing around on the higher end right now, but our bass will come in here in the next few minutes and we'll get that bass really going. Auto filter right on that snare, and we're going to have the auto filter pop in right at that moment at the very end of the phrase. So show automation, going back to the MIDI view. And I'm going to have this start low and come back high again. Okay, so let's go ahead and play this a little bit. Nice. Dropped a little bit too much. Cool. So a way to kind of get that snare to dance around a little bit. All right, we're going to go ahead and create a new track. Let's clean up our what it looks like here. We don't need all of our sends right now. We don't need to have our effects up. Let's close that out. So we have all this extra space here. You can drag and drop an instrument into this area. It says drop files and devices here. Why don't I do that on the screen since you guys don't see my, oops. I disappeared for a while. Hopefully I will come back. There we go. So I'm going to drag and drop just so you guys can see it on my screen a little better. And here we are with our bass. Let's go into, so I have a preset in my favorites, bass, and I have this hip hop right here that's pretty big. I can now drag and drop that into this open space or any MIDI new channel. Command-Shift-T creates a new MIDI channel as well. And it instantly names it, whatever it's named over here. Bringing that back in. So I've taken, this instrument is an operator instrument that you can kind of see what it looks like here. It's always great to kind of, a way to learn is to open things up and to see how it's made. Look at that. There's operator, and you can look at the different ways this oscillator and envelope is set up, which ones are being used, which ones are turned off. Notice how the level of this one is turned on and the other ones are, there's some automations, right? An example is anything with these green dots shows that it's connected over here to your master chain. So let's go ahead and just mess around with our tone a little bit to see how this low end is sounding. Growling this up, distortion a little bit. Let's see how the drop sounds. Quantizing. Now right away, we can do a lot right over here with our tone and what's coming out over the top. Notice how this is helping us understand operator. If you guys don't really know the details of the operator, which is kind of more of a in-depth course, you might need to kind of get more into our producer program to learn operator. But if you just come in with a pre-made instrument and work with these knobs, right? It says overtone. And see how it brings in that bottom one. It's already set up the way so that A is bringing that overtone. And you can hear the difference here. And you can also automate all these, right? The same way that we were doing with our drums. So a lot of different options for you. Let's go ahead and just do another automation with this. So you can actually do this just by, let me do it with my mouse, just so you guys can see, even without the push. I would press play of these tracks. Here's your master play on session view. I'm on this fifth one down, and so it plays all these. I'm going to say record automation. Good. So that was using my mouse. So that was using my mouse there just by dragging this back and forth. So even without a MIDI device, let's say you're on the plane going somewhere, you can still get into these details without having to set up anything other than your laptop and Ableton Live 10 Suite, your digital audio workstation. So going into see what that looks like, let's go ahead and look at that. So I'm really coming out specifically on that top note. I want that overtone to kind of come out. So let's just listen to that again. All right, so you can kind of hear where this comes up and out. Now, a great thing, this kind of is going to get into the wobble effect, which we're going to get more into in the coming weeks. But I am going to bring in, for my effects favorites, I'm going to bring in my auto filter. Okay, there's also this drop down of all these different customized auto filters. But I like just starting from scratch myself. I'm going to drop this into my bass instrument. This is now my bass instrument over here with the effects chain. Anything following it is being affected, right? It's affecting the bass. And you can also group these together as well by just selecting them and saying Command G and making your own instrument effects chains, which is pretty cool. So here we are, similarly looking, right? This is the same instrument we were doing with the hi-hat, we're going to try and do this with the bass. Okay, but instead of the highs being affected and cutting out, we're going to cut out the bass. And if we did this, the bass wouldn't even exist. So let's start way down here. Okay, and now we're going to go up in frequency, right, to cut off the bass. Let's listen to this as I play with it. Record. All right, so here we are. We just danced around with just a simple instrument, like putting an auto filter on our operator hip hop bass. And we did some customization of automation on our overtone. So pretty simple things. We're in session view in Ableton Live 10 Suite. If you guys just joined us, please remember to join us in the future every Wednesday from 11 to 12. We have West Coast Wednesdays, and we're happy to serve you and teach you different ways of music production at Garnish Central. There's online lessons worldwide. There's places in person in the Bay Area, LA, Nashville, New York, London, Tokyo, Germany. There's 8 locations, so please contact us. We're almost done here talking about the low end. Last week we talked about the high end. And then in the near future, we're going to start talking about the wobble, which we're kind of getting into right about now. Okay, so here we are back in Ableton Live 10 Suite, my DAW of my preferential DAW. And we just did this little dance around. Now, I'm going to call this, I'm going to name this right here, Command R. I'm going to call this the meat, right? Maybe it's the verse, maybe it's the chorus, but it's definitely hitting. I want to break it down. So let's call this breakdown, right? I have nothing in there. Now, what can make the sound break down? Simplify it. So let's just bring the kick down, Command D. Let's bring the bass down, but simplify the bass. We just want the bass just to be maybe just certain notes. So I'm going to take off automation so I can mess around specifically with which notes I want in and which notes I want out. So let's pretend I didn't play these notes by highlighting them, pressing 0 to deactivate them. You can also right-click on them, and you can say, right, deactivate, activate notes, right? Or here, activate or deactivate. I always like trying to tell people how to do things without the push, without my shortcuts, so you guys know how to do it in many different ways. In any digital audio workstation, there's so many shortcuts and other ways to do things, but hopefully what we can do for you is make the most efficient ways, teach you the most 2 to 3 efficient ways, effective ways of doing your production, so you can be pumping out your songs left and right with a high quality mixing and mastering, and even do it all yourself. So I just took out these bass notes. Let's go ahead and play this scene now. I'm going to click on this master play button in session view on breakdown. It's that little triangle right there. So this is actually one where I think that this note just extended could be pretty cool. I think it actually goes right up to the snare. The snare hit comes in really simply on the offbeat. So I'm just going to hold this over. I'm just selecting the note and dragging it across. So 1, 3, 5, 7. Let's bring that right to the top of that. And bringing that across to 8. Let's listen to this now. And you know what? I want my snare in there. Duplicate, get the snare down there. think I want my frequency to be a little different. On my bass, actually. So going in here to my bass frequency, clicking on this. There it is. So I kind of like this movement at the very end. You can go ahead and copy this and copy it right over to any location like here. Look at that. Simplify and make that match. So pretty cool. I also think that these notes are maybe unnecessary and making it busy still. So let's try that again. Ah, the snare's coming in earlier. Okay, let's try that out. I'm going to copy this, paste it in, paste it in, paste it in, and bring that right to the front. All right, so there's something we can do with the high right here to kind of just make it dance around and match where our bass cuts out. Notice that your timing, right, of where the snare comes in versus other instruments, they should all align. Notice how these are all matching, right? This is your grid, your time grid in session view of your MIDI tracks. So I want my hi-hat to dance between 1.3 right here and 2 on each one, right? Cut out again and then do that on the next one too. So here we are in our hi-hat. Let's get all of our automations out. 1.3 is where we want to start it. Take that out. See how I'm just deleting just portions of the track. And I'm allowing it to dance around in the areas, just the areas that I want it to dance around on top. I really don't know what this is going to sound like, but that's part of production, is trying things out and seeing if you like it. With a little bit of direction, you can try things out that will most often be musical, and that's what hopefully we can help you with. Awesome. And really what can change a song is, instead of duplicating down, you could literally just start with a new beat entirely and really change the vibe and the feel. So this is going to be like a part 2, okay? This obviously might change to like verse, chorus, bridge or something. This is actually something old. Maybe I'll just bring this down so it's not in our way. Everything's movable, this whole grid. You can also color code things, you know, bring things out to make it really easy. Right-click it and make that different color. So this shows up really nicely at your live show or your production if you're working with someone and need to trigger something at the right time. This can really help out. So this part 2 is not created yet. We're almost out of time, but I just want to show you how simple it is to create a part 2. Turning on my metronome. And I want to turn everything else off. Plain, empty track. And that pitch I don't really like. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this down. There we go. That's where I want it. There, get the snare in there. Moving our grid to where we want it. Make this set 1. That silence is kind of good, actually. Recording our bass. All right. So this sound actually is, I don't really want so much of that drop tone. Cool thing is you can just duplicate this over and take out that drop tone and only play it, right? And this one is the hip hop without the drop tone. So taking out the drop tone, taking out the overtone, distortion amount down. Let's try this again. Nice. Okay, we're almost there. We're almost out of time here. I'm going to just highlight this and quantize that just a little bit. And bringing in our last effect for the day, which is something that some old schoolers don't really want to, don't like doing, because there's ways to do this the old school way, but this is actually a pretty quick way to have your kick and your bass follow up in tone. This is probably the oldest trick in the book. Dropping that compressor right onto our hip hop, this specific one that we just created, the new tone. Opening up the compressor, and we're going to side chain it to the specific instrument. So I'm going to say, where's our set kick? And a set kick probably toward the bottom. We have a lot of tracks in this because I'm making a whole instrument here. Set kick. So see how I'm bringing that up? Now it's going to sidechain to that specific kick. So it's not actually working yet because we need to not only engage the right thing, but bring our threshold down. And there's a part for you. You can also change scenes very easily using the push to. So you can obviously use your screen, or like I said before, make your keyboard or your MIDI device cue up these different things, right? Command M, and you can have play, up, down, functions, all that. But because I have my push, I just go into session view and I can start the different parts of the track. Taking off metronome, breakdown. I'm not sure if you guys can hear on this kick that's being played. There's some high-end little frilly stuff. And that is something that you can take out with by putting a new sound in there entirely, but you can also try taking out some of the high end, right? So let's try that out. Let's play this track again. Look at that. Just like that, all that sample on this kick, you know, had some high-end artifacts that we didn't really like. We just cut those out with our EQ. That is mixing and mastering, you guys. Or mastering mixing, I should say. Mastering your digital audio workstation is being able to think of something and execute it really quickly after. My name is Justin Anchetta. I am with SF Garnish Music Production. I co-own it with my partner Alex Scammon, saxophonist, digital audio workstation, electronic music producer in the Bay Area. We have a lot of different projects ourselves and our studio, Soul Graffiti Studios. Big shout out down in the Bay if you guys want to do audio and video. Check it out there. We have our classes, SF Garnish electronic music classes, taking place out of the studio and online. So please contact us. Thank you to Garnish TV for hosting West Coast Wednesdays once again. This is going to be something happening year-round, every Wednesday at 11 a.m. And if you're not available on Wednesday, don't worry about it. Garnish will take care of you every day of the week at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We have somebody from around the world, a professional, talking about sound design, talking about not only Ableton, but Logic, Pro Tools, how to mix, how to master, and that sort. So once again, if you have any questions, please comment, like, and subscribe. And we look forward to working with you in the near future. Have a great day and contact us, sf.garnishmusicproduction.com, and garnish.tv is being created right in front of your eyes. Take care.